Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hope I'm live now. And yeah, I am probably live at the moment. So, of course, we know what has happened in the last couple of days where Jorge there, our beloved, most holy and most humble Pope of all time, the bishop dressed in white, or as Archbishop Vigano calls him, the Argentine Jesuit, the resident of the Santa Marta Hotel at Vatican City. I think he stole it from me, actually. But anyways, so here's Jorge sitting with Tucho, I'll heal you with my kisses, Fernandez, who is the head of the dicastery for the destruction of the faith, and his buddy there, whoever that is. So they're giving him, of course, that infamous document of, allowing priests to bless objective sin. So, of course, people are up in arms. What do we do? How is this possible? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. It's nothing new. It's been going on since 2013. So what's the big deal? And it was coming on the way. You could see it from the beginning. I mean, for years and years and years, this is just being more formalized by Jorge before, he dies. He goes to his judgment. And of course, he joins his Lord and Master in hell. So the question is, like they've had Vigano going on in this live stream they did with Anne Barnhart and Father Paul Kramer and another person about whether the Pope is Catholic and so forth. And anyways, at the end of Vigano's big speech, and I think I have the whole video kind of linked on my Pope Francis playlist. He says basically, we can, Francis is not only a heretic and is an apostate, but, we cannot officially do anything about it. Same thing with Schneider, we can't do anything about it. And Michael Matt on the Remnant, his last video says, I support Archbishop Vigano, but even Vigano said that we can do nothing about it. I said, okay. Can't do anything about it. But the Cardinal, the man, the professor of canon law at the Gregorian University of Rome, Gianfranco Ghirlanda, made Cardinal by Pope Jorge, disagrees. There is an article from 2013 which I'm going to share with you the relevant part of it, which I dealt with previously in a whole bunch of other videos, but this one is a kind of a standalone about what can be done and what is the truth of the matter. And this is not from me. This is from a cardinal, a professor of canon law at the Pontifical University in Rome. So here's first of all, we're going to see so people know what's going on. So this is from Vatican News itself. It says doctrinal declaration opens possibility of blessing couples in irregular situations. So for those who say, well, it's not couples, they're not blessing sin. Well, that's exactly what they're blessing. Another thing is, this is where the picture comes. Let's go full screen so you can see it and enjoy the beauty of this beautiful picture. Doctrinal Dicastery explains gay couples can be blessed outside of formal liturgical blessings. And this picture, it was taken on December 18th, 2023. Here's Tucho and Jorge. So yeah, they were, it was, approved by the Pope in person, and you can see all the laughs and smiles happening there. And I'm not going to dwell on this topic, but you can read Crisis Magazine's take on it. And so you can go over Crisis Magazine's, analysis of this thing, especially number 31, which basically explains that, you are basically blessing sin. All right. So again, this is for you guys. And people say, okay, how is Francis heretic? How can be a heretic? He's Pope. Well, actually, from a letter from this is an old news, but it's a goodie, an oldie but a goodie. So this was from when was that one done? A few years back. 2019, May 1st, 2019. More than 1,500 professors, priests accused Pope Francis of having committed the canonical delict of heresy. So it was not, and actually and this was regarding Emeritus Laetitia and all that stuff, and they can actually show you. And they have actually a whole letter of accusations, which is, you should read the whole thing. And it is basically talking about why, in one of the points is, you sometimes can't keep the commandments of God, and it actually not be actually sinful to keep the commandments of God. And some people just can't keep it. No grace, no salvation, no repent. It's like people just are not able to do so let them stay in their sins, because it's impossible to follow the commandments of God, basically. So here you go, a whole letter asking the bishops to act from 2019, and they openly accuse Francis of being a heretic. All right, so now before we're going to get to the article, somebody's telling me the Pope is an apostate. You know what? As soon as I saw, I wept. Literally, I actually literally wept when Benedict resigned, which I don't believe the resignation was valid in the least. And as soon as I saw, I was hoping, fine, he resigned. I didn't understand at the beginning. And then I was hoping for Burke or somebody with weight. And then this guy comes up on the loggia and it's like, buonasera, people. And buonasera, and my heart fell, like from day one, from second one, as soon as I saw him. Don't know why, but that's the way it was. Anyways, so now this is the point of this whole thing. Here is let me put share this one here. This is, I'm going to do it off the, here we go. Let's share that one. How do we do this? Still getting to know that thing here happening. Okay, here we go. Okay, maybe let's do full screen for a second. So this is, this was from Gianfranco Ghirlanda. And Gianfranco Ghirlanda, who is now Cardinal, made by Francis actually as Cardinal, Gianfranco Ghirlanda. And I keep on hearing from various YouTubers, including apparently Cardinal Muller, that Gianfranco Ghirlanda holds this extremist position on the powers of the Pope, that basically the Pope can do anything and whatever he wants. And I just don't get it from this article. This article clearly states that the Pope has to actually keep the faith. And if he doesn't, he falls from the papacy, period. And this was actually published in, let's go to the Italian version, but this is actually it was published in the Civiltà Cattolica. La Civiltà Cattolica, which is the official, let's do so this is the official Jesuit newspaper or magazine in Rome, the Civiltà Cattolica. Cessation from the office of the Roman Pontiff, and we're just going to go to the archived page because it's easier. It doesn't highlight the Italian when I'm going through it. And it was written by Gianfranco Ghirlanda, Professor Emeritus of Canon Law at the Pontifical Gregorian University, and it was written March 2nd, 2013. March 2nd, 2013. And let's go through the various points of The letter, the article. So causes of the vacancy of the Roman see. What are the causes of the vacancy of the Roman see? Meaning the seat of Peter. The vacancy of the Roman see occurs in the event of the cessation of office by the Roman pontiff, which occurs for four reasons. Number one, death, which is basically the standard one. Number two, certain and perpetual insanity or total mental infirmity. That's condition two. Number three, notorious apostasy, heresy, or schism. And number four, by renunciation, resignation. So the first case, which is the apostolic see is vacant, well, a Roman pontiff died. So the Pope died, so we get another Pope. So the seat is empty, the see of Peter is empty. So we go through an election for another Pope. The second and third, which is certain and perpetual insanity or total mental infirmity, or number three, which is notorious, meaning visible, manifest, undisputed, apostasy, heresy, or schism. So it says second and third, from the moment, so it becomes official. So this is the thing is, this status becomes official, not that it didn't happen, not that the Pope doesn't already fallen from office, but officially, technically, officially, it becomes official when, well, it becomes official when, here we go, from the moment of the declaration by the cardinals. So who's declaring the Pope to have fallen from office or no longer being Pope? The cardinals. Hey, Vigano, Schneider, Markle Matt. Yeah, it is the cardinals who declare the see vacant in case of insanity or mental infirmity or notorious apostasy, heresy, or schism. So it is the cardinal. And of course, the fourth one in case of renunciation, which is, valid resignation, not resigning the active exercise while remaining Pope at the same time. So it talks about the death. What are the procedures with death? We don't care about that one. Number two is the case of renunciation. The Canon 332. It should be 332, number 2, states that the Roman Pontiff, in the fulfillment of his ministry, his munus, or as supreme pastor of the church, is always united in communion with the bishops and indeed with the whole church. This is not about the renunciation at the moment. So the munus of the head, so the function of the office of the head, what is it? Is exercised for the good of the whole church to safeguard the unity of ecclesial communion. So, and I'm just reading this because it is kind of important what is being said. So we're going to get to another comment in a second, but first of all, let's get to the maybe I'll just. I'm going to read this part. The pontiff represents the college of bishops and the church in the sense that he has power over all the bishops and over the church. Why? How come? For what reason? Precisely to guarantee and protect what? The integrity of the faith that Christ has deposited. It is the deposit of faith in the church through the apostles. That is the function of the Pope, to guarantee and protect the integrity of the faith that Christ deposited in the church through the apostles. And what else? And to preserve and protect the truth and sanctity of the sacraments instituted by Christ. And what else? To protect and the integrity and guarantee and protect the integrity of what else? The fundamental structure of the church established by Christ. So doing a synodal church or inventing a new church is not protecting the fundamental structure of the church, instituted, established by Christ. and of the fundamental duties and rights of the faithful, as well as those specific to each of their categories. Now, here are these are some of the points. Now, then, if the Roman Pontiff did not express what is already contained in the Church, he would no longer be in communion with the whole Church, meaning he excommunicated himself. And therefore, he's no longer in communion with the other bishops, successors of the apostles. The communion of the Roman Pontiff with the Church and with the bishops, according to Vatican I, cannot be proven by the consensus of the Church and the bishops, as it would no longer be a full and supreme power freely exercised. Let's skip that one. The criterion that is the protection of ecclesiam communion, where there is, so in case the Roman Pontiff does not express what is already contained in the Church, he would no longer be in communion with the whole Church, therefore he's excommunicated. So it says here, where this is no longer exists, meaning this communion, because he did not maintain the faith on the part of the Pope, he would no longer have any power, because he would lose his primatial office. He would lose his primatial office, his supreme office. He would lose it automatically. And it is the case admitted in doctrine. And who's talking here? Teacher, professor of canon law at the Pontifical Gregorian University. And this is admitted in doctrine of the well-known, meaning manifest, apostasy, heresy, and schism, into which the Roman Pontiff could fall. And of course, assuming it's a valid Roman Pontiff, which I don't think Francis was a Roman Pontiff for 1 second, since Benedict never resigned the office, simply the exercise of the office, which I've harped on. I did a bunch of videos on. But as a private doctor who does not require the assent of the faithful, because by faith in the personal infallibility, because he would lose. Oh, here we go. Yeah, because he would lose the primatial office. In that case, admitted in doctrine of the well-known apostasy, heresy, and schism, into which the Roman Pontiff could fall, but as a private doctor who does not require the assent of the faithful, because by faith in the personal infallibility that the Roman Pontiff has in carrying out his office, and therefore, in the assistance of the Holy Spirit, we must say, because of the assistance of the Holy Spirit, for a validly elected Pope, he will get the assistance of the Holy Spirit for a validly elected Pope. Okay, so he says, we must say, this is his personal opinion now, not admitted in doctrine. We cannot make we must say that he, the Pope, cannot make heretical statements wanting to commit his primatial authority, because if he did so, if he makes heretical statements, binding heretical statements, he would decline, fall from the ipso jure, by the law itself, ipso jure, ipso facto, by the fact, and by the law. By the fact he did it, and by the law he would fall from his office. However, in such cases, since the first see is not judged by anyone, Canon 1404, no one could depose the Roman Pontiff, but there would only be a declaration of the fact that he is excommunicated, that he deposed himself. Which would come from who? From who? Archbishop Vigano, from who? Bishop Schneider, from who? Michael Matt, from the Cardinals. So they're not deposing, they're declaring the fact that the seat is empty. And not even all the Cardinals, at least those present in Rome. That's good enough. This eventuality, however, although foreseen in doctrine, is considered totally unlikely due to the intervention of the divine providence in favor of the Church. Well, of course, we don't have a valid Pope anyways. So the certainty, and now he goes into the insanity one. The certainty and perpetuity of insanity, like the total mental infirmity, must be ascertained through accurate medical assessment. The cessation from the primatial office would only be declared by the cardinals. Again, at least those present in Rome. The same story. Therefore, also, in this case, there would not be an act of deposition, but simply a stating of the fact that the seat is empty. Now, there's not much more left on this portion of his article. Canon 332, number 2, explicitly provides for the renunciation, resignation, in the event that the Roman Pontiff renounces his office, which Benedict did not. Gonswein said he did not abandon the office. Benedict says in his last audience, he said, this novelty of what he's doing did not alter what he received in 2005, once, always and forever from the hands of the cardinals, meaning he did not, and he kept his papal name of Benedict. So therefore, he remained Pope. He said he renounced the power for governance, but kept the spiritual power. A novelty. So he never fully resigned the office. Therefore, the office was occupied for its validity. So he has to resign the office for its validity. It is required that the renunciation be made freely. Okay, we're not going to dwell onto this for now. And that it was duly manifested. However, it is not required to be accepted by anybody accepted. Since by the very nature of primacy, no human authority confirms the election of the Roman Pontiff, no human authority can confirm the resignation of the Roman Pontiff. Meaning like, okay, he's allowed to resign by the emperor. He says, okay, fine, you can resign, or no, you cannot resign. No human authority can do that. It has to be made freely. If it is not made freely, with no pressure, then the resignation ipso jure, by the law itself, is invalid. The renunciation must be free because, according to Canon 188, the renunciation of an office due to grave fear unjustly felt, due to fraud or substantial error, or with simony, ipso jure, by the law itself, nobody needs to declare it, is invalid. Think about what Benedict did then. So the Ecumenical Council or the Synod of Bishops or the College of Cardinals cannot push the Roman Pontiff to resign. It would fall into conciliarism and the renunciation would be invalid. So if Benedict was pushed into resigning, forced, it would be invalid, ipso by the law itself. It is evident that the Pope who resigned is no longer Pope. Therefore, he no longer has any power in the Church and cannot interfere in the government of affairs. One may wonder what title Benedict XVI will retain. He had no idea. He was calling to maintain the papacy, Pope Emeritus. We think that he should be given the title Bishop Emeritus of Rome, like any other diocesan bishop who leaves office. Problem is, Benedict did not leave office. He left the administration of the office. But he kept the spiritual office, as he himself has said. So this is basically, the article, like the main part about who a pope falls from office for insanity, mental infirmity, which has to be diagnosed, or manifest, well-known heresy, schism, or apostasy. Automatic, by the law itself. He excommunicates himself. He is no longer in communion with the bishops because he did not hold the faith once for all delivered as a deposit by Jesus Christ. He did not maintain the structure of the church designed by Jesus Christ. He the faith, the structure of the church, and which breaks communion with the rest of the church, and he becomes excommunicated outside the church, and therefore he cannot hold office. And this thing, the falling from office, automatically happens ipso iure, by the law itself, by the law itself, by the law itself. It only to be technically manifest or technically okay. The cardinals, not even all of them, just at least those in Rome, would have to declare the fact that the office is empty because the Pope has fallen into whatever it is: heresy, schism, apostasy, mental infirmity, insanity. So yeah, there is a solution, and the only reason Cardinal Ratzinger Cardinal Muller knows this, Cardinal Burke knows this, but Cardinal Muller himself, I just did it on the previous video, one of the previous videos, he himself says, doing this, going after the validity of Francis, will create more problems than it might solve, at least while he's alive. Because maybe some cardinals will reject it, some other, and then we're going to have 2 popes, 3 popes, who knows what goes on after that. So this is clearly and it's not me, it is Gianfranco Ghirlanda, Professor Emeritus of Canon Law at the Pontifical Gregorian University of Rome. And finally, we're going to end it with the little thing about the resignation of Benedict XVI. And this is from Sandro Magister from 2013, when he used to have on Chiesa Espresso online, Sandro Magister, an Italian Vaticanista. So he talks about the title of the article is The Resignation of Benedict XVI Between History, Law, and Conscience. And it comes from the Rivista Teologica de Lugano, which is, and it was published in February 2013. Oh, am I doing this? Oh yeah, February. Oops, I didn't show it. Hold on one second here. Gotta show it. I'm gonna go full screen so you can see it. So yeah, so this is from him. So it is from February 2013. He's talking about an article written February 2013 from the Theological Review, I guess, of Lugano, by Father Stefano Violi. So he teaches canon law in the Theological Faculty of Emilia-Romagna and the Faculty of Theology of Lugano by Stefano Violi. So this is the article. So, and I can no longer find it, so I'm really glad I actually downloaded this article and I saved it before it disappeared. This is the full article of the, go full screen here for you to see. The full, how many pages? I think it's 8 or 9 pages. 10 pages about the history of papal and resignations, not only papal resignations, but even bishops. Basically, in short, only people were deposed. Bishops were bishops forever. The retirement age and all that stuff, that was a novelty of Paul VI. I'm not going to go through the article. I'll just tell you the title: The Resignation of Benedict XVI Between History, Law, and Conscience, by Stefano Violi, Theological Faculty of Emilia-Romagna, Faculty of Theology in Lugano. I'm not going to go through the article. I'm just going to go to the conclusion of the 9 or 10-page article. So the conclusion, where are we here? Yeah, conclusion. And then we're going to end it. Conclusion. On February 11th. Let me see if you can actually see this here. Yeah. On February 11th, 2013. Ignore this part which says, in full harmony with the tradition of the Church, which it wasn't, Benedict XVI declared his renunciation of the Petrine ministry. Concerning the diktat of canon law, however, he declared his renunciation not of the office, but of its administration. a renunciation limited to the active exercise of the munus constitutes the absolute novelty. So obviously it's not in harmony with tradition. Obviously it constitutes the absolute novelty of the resignation of Benedict XVI. So here it is. It tells you clearly that he did not resign according to the Code of Canon Law. He did not renounce the office, but simply its administration. And this was the absolute novelty of Benedict XVI. So meaning Benedict did not follow the only way possible to resign, which is Canon 332 number 2, which is to resign the office. At the juridical base, meaning the legal base of his decision, is not then Canon 332 number 2, which governs the renunciation of office, different from that pronounced by Benedict XVI. So Benedict did not actually did not use Canon 332 number 2, which is the whole basis of papal resignations. So, and he says, well, he did it because, popes have plenitude of power, so he used that. What did he say here? Well, I'm just going to... The theological juridical foundation is the plenitudo potestas, sanctioned by Canon 331. Precisely in the bundle of these inherent powers is included, as well as exclusive powers, or rather the faculty of freely and irrevocably renouncing all the powers themselves, without renouncing the munus, the office. So Benedict renounced all the powers, but without renouncing the munus itself, the office. So the office into which Jorge Bergoglio came in was occupied. So how can he get into an occupied office? Mystery of mysteries, I say. Let's finish up with the last bit of this. Taking cognizance. Okay, I'll read it. It's just like a paragraph. Taking cognizance of his strengths, they were no longer fitted to the administration of the munus, not the actual munus, entrusted to him. With a free act, Benedict XVI has exercised the fullness of power by depriving himself of all the power inherent in his office for the good of the Church, without, however, abandoning his service to the Church or the office. This continues through the exercise of the most eminently spiritual dimension inherent in the office, in the munus, entrusted to him, which he did not intend to renounce. The supreme act of self-abnegation for the good of the Church constitutes in reality the supreme act of power put in place by the Pope Emeritus, as well as the last solemn act of his magisterium. The spiritual munus office, in being fully carried out, can comport whether or not. See, the spiritual, because even when you read the Benedict's resignation, he divides the office of Peter into spiritual and administrative, and he resigned the administrative part but kept the spiritual, meaning he resigned half the office. The spiritual munus is being fully carried out, can comport with a renunciation of its administration. But so it's not the actual office, simply its administration. This does not in any way determine the renunciation of the mission inherent in the office. So the mission is the same, which is inherent in the office, but constitutes its truest accomplishment. With this gesture of renunciation, Benedict XVI has rather incarnated the most elevated form of power in the Church, according to the example of him who, having all power in his hand, laid aside his garments, not in this way divesting himself, but rather bringing to completion his office of service to men, that is our salvation. So this is the article of Father Stefano Violi of the Theological Faculty of Emilia-Romagna, Faculty of Theology. Name of the article, The Resignation of Benedict XVI Between History, Law, and Conscience. So here you go. Here you go. How does the Pope, the declaration of an empty office? Yeah, the cardinals, at least those in Rome, don't even need all the cardinals. They just have to declare the fact, because the Pope would excommunicate himself and depose himself, and the cardinals, at least those in Rome, would simply declare the fact of the matter, that the office is empty. End of story. And then you can go ahead and choose another Pope. And you saw at the end that the office of Pope, so the office of Peter, was not empty. It was still occupied by Benedict, according to Father Stefano Violi, written in 2013, explicitly stating that he simply renounced the administration of the office but kept the spiritual part of the office. So the office was occupied. I mean, he dressed in white, he kept his papal name, he gave the papal blessing, and he gave the apostolic blessing. And Jorge, whenever he brought in new cardinals, he brought them to see Pope Benedict to receive his blessing. So obviously, the whole story of the matter is, yeah, there is a way to get rid of Jorge, but, maybe God will take him sooner than anything is done by cowardly cardinals. So, well, you know what? I'm going to show your comment just for a second here. Catholic Church is done. Well, it can be because it's the true Church of Jesus Christ. We just have a little crisis happening here. For the Orthodox Church, it's probably the only church left, or to roll over and bend to the will of those who, like to pervert the sexual function. Yeah, well, it depends on which Orthodox you're talking about. Because I heard several Orthodox who actually admit this. I mean, look at in Greece, I think they were blessing these couples in the Greek church in Greece. So I guess Jorge is a bit late for the game, for the show. He's just joining the fun. No, so it's just a little. Jorge's on his last days, and so he's accelerating since Pope Benedict died and was buried in the had a papal funeral and buried in the tomb of Pope John Paul II. And did you hear that Jorge doesn't want to even be buried in St. Peter's, which is good riddance. You don't deserve it anyways. He didn't even live in the papal palace, just lives at a hotel. He calls himself the bishop dressed in white, and he calls himself Jorge. And if you read every encyclical, every letter, every exhortation, every whatever, at the end of it, he simply signs Francis. Nothing else. No pope, no nothing, no bishop, no nothing. He's just Francis, your buddy Francis. Benedict, to the day he died, he would always sign Benedict XVI, PP. Anyways, so that's it. That's all. I hope you liked this video. Share, subscribe, and send it to Schneider. Send it to Vigano. Hey, yeah, canon law says, it only takes a few cardinals, at least those in Rome, to declare the fact of the matter. And the story is finished. As soon as this circus show in Vatican will finish, sooner than later. Actually, I'm going to end it by saying, we have to thank Francis. We have to thank him for making clear, making obvious, making explicit the dichotomy between the true Catholic faith and the what can I say? Fake Catholic faith, the heretical Catholic faith, the apostate religion. I don't know, just because he made it explicit. Now people have no choice. Okay, you go to full traditional, full Catholic, full Orthodox, meaning Catholic Orthodox, or you go full novel, full novelty, full innovation, full doctrinal evolution. It's not doctrinal development. I mean, several years ago, I did a 2-3 hour video from the Vatican website. They had a thing on a whole article basically promoting doctrinal evolution, meaning a change of meaning, a change of faith, instead of simply development, meaning a deepening of the same doctrine. No. So they're promoting doctrinal evolution, which is heretical novelty. Anyways, that's it. That's all. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you probably after Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everybody. Bye-bye.